Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of CantoSense. We are here to navigate the nuances of Chinese culture so that we can embrace it for Christian living.
In recent years, leadership coaching has emerged as a contemporary leadership essential. You hear of all kinds of different models on how to coach someone, all the different approaches, and you have to be certified. My question is coaching really a new concept?
Because of the pandemic, many people, especially in their careers or in their personal lives, have really gone into explore coaching, whether to be coached or to become a coach. It's definitely something that has seemingly come up to be more popular. We're glad that we're going to be joined by a special guest who is an expert in this area of coaching and leadership. We are so excited to have Wan Chung join us. He is a workplace coach and trainer.
So I the leadership development side of HR, people development side, for about 18 years now. And 3 years ago, I decided to exit my corporate career and found my own HR tech startup, also a leadership development coaching focused training organization.
In my own experience in leadership development and in the organization that I work with, we also do a lot of coaching and coaching training.
Yes.
However, a lot of the coaching models that we use, as well as the coaching trainers that we have so far, have been predominantly from the West, and curriculums are written from the Western perspective. So I'm very excited to meet you because you are obviously a cultural Chinese. Can you tell us about coaching in the Chinese cultural context? I mean, is it something new?
Coaching is a buzzword today in the world of organizations.
Yeah.
No organization would say, we're not interested in coaching. We're not interested in our managers, gaining coaching competencies. Many would think that coaching is a Western concept because primarily you see coaching, leadership coaching, managerial coaching being written about, researched, published in Western journals.
Certification bodies are also mostly
certification bodies too.
West.
The largest certification body is based in the US. Yep. To add to that, in Asia today, the leadership and management culture and paradigm is still to a large extent a telling paradigm or a directive paradigm where I instruct, I tell you what to do, you do. Still very much that, although it's evolving towards more collaborative kinds of leadership. Now, if you travel back far enough, 2,500 years, right? That's even before Christ. You would encounter a very different philosophy or wisdom on leadership in ancient China. So the Chinese definition of coaching is a very powerful one. It's a very evoking metaphor in Tao. And Tao is actually comprises of two words, where you've got Tao, which is the path that we're going to take towards your goal. And the manner in which we're going to journey towards the goal is Cun, which means we're going to journey towards the goal 1 inch at a time. We can get insights from the most important text from that time. And it's none other than the Tao Te Ching, chapter 17 of the Tao Te Ching. It's almost like a Harvard Business Review HBR management article from 2000 years ago. It defines 4 levels of leadership. The best leaders are those that people hardly know exist. The next best is a leader who is loved and praised. Next comes the one who is feared. And the worst one is the leader that is despised. Probably one who is incompetent. Those rule by the first kind, right? Those that people hardly know exist. Exclaim upon accomplishing important tasks. We did it ourselves. So how did these unnoticed leaders lead? Such that they were hardly noticed, not even known to exist, and yet the people accomplished great things and thought that they are the ones that accomplished it themselves.
It's very counter to our contemporary understanding of what a leader looks like, right? I mean, a leader stands out, is visionary and entrepreneurial.
Yes, I can venture a guess that those unnoticed rulers probably empowered the people. They had a deep belief that people had what it takes to get things done. So instead of telling you what to do, I will ask you questions. I will listen to your ideas.
So it's drawing out from you what
out.
you already know or have.
The best kinds of leaders, according to the ancient sages, are leaders who empower, listen, who ask questions, essentially leaders who are coaches. We do not need to teach coaching from a Western perspective or through Western lenses,
Mm,
but bring them far enough back in their own history, back in their
mm,
own culture and their own wisdom.
mhm,
They discover, therein lies a treasure trove of
mm.
leadership principles.
You talked about the Chinese way of leadership, the how is this similar to or different from the ancient Near East way of perceiving a leader? I mean, you read the New Testament, Jesus was called the teacher or a rabbi,
Yes.
So I'm trying to see, are there similarities?
There is a parallel story in the book of Luke 2:46. It is a coaching passage of scripture. Jesus was a young boy. He was in the temple in Jerusalem, if you remember that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he was teaching in the temple, right?
Yeah.
It says the boy Jesus was teaching by listening and asking questions. What do we typically associate with the act of teaching?
Mm.
Telling, right? Imparting, giving. Jesus was drawing out by listening closely and attentively to what's on the hearts of people, what's on the minds of people, asking questions, drawing it out of them. Because at the end of the day, people tend to take action, people tend to own their own ideas. It instills a much greater sense of ownership than I tell them what to do.
Right.
So asking a question is more powerful than giving advice.
It's not just about coaching leaders, but it's also leading as a coach, where you ask questions as opposed to telling your team what to do.
When you ask a question, essentially you're conveying that I believe in you and I believe that you have the answers, or I believe that you have what it takes to get to the answers.
Yeah.
It is a statement of faith in the
Right,
other.
right.
Yes, and it is a powerful action.
How
Right.
are the clients from the East different from those from the West?
I mean, the West is a big label.
Of
and
course.
within the West, you have people from Western, Eastern Europe, US, Australia. When we coach, we realize that at the heart of it, people struggle with the same set of things. Things like, how do we make relationships work better in the team? How do we motivate people? How do we explain not so good news at performance reviews? Maybe a key difference, some people tend to focus more on the goal, while some people focus more on the journey. One stereotypical thing I could say is maybe in the East, the relationship, the sojourn, the process is really the ultimate thing. In the West, I don't want to overgeneralize. Sometimes there is a huge focus on getting to the end, getting the results, being very goal-oriented, results-oriented. In Chinese, the term 关系, relationship, tells us so much about how the Chinese Eastern cultures value relationship, value journeying together, value the whole idea of the collective. And stemming from that, harmony, yes. So yeah, there's a lot of value placed on the process of getting there together rather than just singularly focused on the end goal.
The thing that
Yes,
really
sure.
characterizes the Chinese culture and many Eastern cultures is honor shame. Coaching obviously is about working on improving things, right? What kind of sensitivities need to be applied to your approach?
Again, back to the whole idea of asking questions. So for example, performance conversation, right? There's an example in the workplace where there could be a bit of ownership dynamics going on. One way to honor the person, whether they have done well or not, is to give them the first say, make it a two-way conversation. Even if there's a lot of feedback areas for improvements, I could choose not to download all that feedback right at once. And I would ask them to go first and do what we call self-reporting, right? And I think that kind of puts a positive spin to the whole atmosphere, the whole conversation. And at the same time, I'm not pretending well. I'm being very honest and truthful. What are some things you might like to try doing differently? There's absolutely no judgment in that question. You know what? I'm honoring you. At the same time, I like to help you to grow.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was
You're
just such a
welcome.
fascinating conversation and very, very enlightening as well.
There's so many takeaways for especially those of us who are working with cultural Chinese, coaching cultural Chinese, whether you are cultural Chinese or not, but just to be sensitive to those nuances, honor shame, all
Absolutely.
the aspects of consideration, like in listening and asking questions and empowering. So again, this helps us just navigate through the complexities of Chinese culture, in this case, within the coaching context. We hope to see you again soon for another episode of CantoSense.